top of the world, about to jump above it. Take it straight to the moon, 'cause we know how to rock it. Ain't no thing you can do, ain't no way to stop it. Now you're feeling it too, let's get it started. Throw your hands in the air while the beat is dropping. Acting like you don't care when everybody's watching. Just keep whipping your hair like that, you got it. Yeah, you're feeling it too, let's get it started. I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started. Charts off the meter, turn it up, blow the speakers, make them all to believers. Break through the surface, tell them open the curtains, give them all what they wanted. Yeah, now let's get started. Let's get it, get it. Yeah, I'm ready, ready. I'm ready. Are you ready, ready? I'm ready. Let's get it started. Yeah, yeah, I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Let's go. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it, get it. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Give me something new. Time to break it loose. Take it to another level. Now we on the move. Shout if you coming with me. Going over the limit. On your mark, keep it steady. So tell me, are you ready? I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to NASRA, back on LSRTV for the Triple M Pulling Truck Series. It's playoff racing, the round of 16, midway through, for this is the second race at Daytona, for their 2 out of 3 races so far being ran tonight. Special night for NASRA and everyone racing, as tonight's race is the Jimmy Strong 200 by Millings Restaurant and Catering. Jimmy Strong, this race is so important for Jimmy. He is a child that is dealing with cancer currently, and the iRacing community coming together to rally around him. And for anyone that is in the iRacing community that wants to help with the hashtag Jimmy Strong that's going on currently, go to Facebook and look up Depth iRacing Painting. That's DEP iRacing Paints, and you can get yourself some amazing paints when you buy schemes from that of Depth iRacing Paints. All of that will be helping with Jimmy and helping him out while he's dealing with one of the strongest and hardest things to go through with cancer as a child. But as we are dealing with that, we also are getting excited. It is super speedway racing in the middle of playoffs. But joining me up in the booth, my name is Sam Dyer, and it's going to be that of John Mustin. It's going to be joining me. John, I'm excited for playoff racing, but mostly excited it's trucks at Daytona.
Trucks at Daytona, Sam. I'll tell you what, I'm one of those guys that's old enough to remember the first truck race in NASCAR at Daytona, and it has never been dull since then. Even in sim racing, iRacing has some of the best racers here tonight for this wonderful cause for Jimmy Strong. And, well, folks, we're glad you're joining us.
Yeah, I am so excited for tonight's race. The trucks, especially on iRacing, this is one of the series that drivers are loving the most currently. The trucks allow drivers to have so much motion and make hero plays for themselves, but this isn't the first time the drivers have been at super speedway racing so far this season. It was during the middle of the season at Talladega that the drivers found a lot of speed and actually had almost a 3-4 wide finish at Talladega, having that of Dustin Struggs that got the win there. But tonight, playoff racing action. Our 16 drivers that are racing for the playoffs, well, they already raced previously, and that was last week at Atlanta. In an incredible race that went to overtime, and in one overtime attempt, had 4 major wrecks that could have brought out a yellow. They never came, and the driver that got the win was actually that of Dustin Painters, who gets the win done, who actually started back in 6th when that restart happened, but came up with the victory. But John, interesting thing here, the round of 16, it is not a win and you're in type of a system. So even with Devin's win that he got last week, he still needs to have a solid 2 more races here tonight and also next week.
Yeah, the point system these guys use is kind of unique to most leagues in iRacing. And as you just pointed out, it is not a win and you're in kind of thing. So all of these 16 drivers that are in the playoffs, Sam, they're going to have to be heads up and big picture racing for the entire night. And I don't know about you, but in my book, that means probably hanging out the back, letting the calamities happen, because it's a super speedway. It's Daytona. We know something's going to happen. More than likely, probably 90% of the time it does. So, we shouldn't be surprised to see some of those guys in the top 16 hanging out in the back and just chilling for the first part of the race.
Yeah, I've been hearing from a lot of drivers different strategies. Of some are saying, hey, if I can get up into the top 5, I'm going to stay up there as much as I can all throughout this race. Or if I'm not able to, I'm just going to follow the back, stay back there where it feels a lot safer. But tonight, there is going to be stage breaks. There's going to be 2, actually a total of 3 stages. Stage 1 going to be that of lap 15. Stage 2 going to be on lap 32. And then we race it to the end, which is going to be a total of 80 laps ran here tonight at Daytona. And drivers are under practice currently, and we'll take a look at what the rest of the night holds for us as we look at our race 411. And take a look, it's 30 minutes of practice that the drivers are currently finishing up here. As you see, almost a minute left, 2 laps of qualifying, and then an 80-lap featured race for these drivers. John, qualifying seems to be one of the more important things, but at the same time, with these truck cars, who knows how important it really is going to be at the end of the day.
Absolutely there, Sam. I mean, let's be honest, super speedway racing qualifying, I guess if you qualify up in the top 3 or 4 positions, it'll help you. But for the rest of them that wind up qualifying mid-pack to pack, it's not going to matter all that much. I've always taken the approach, Sam, I don't like to qualify at super speedways because I'm eventually going to go. I've always been one of those guys. I just go to the back, anyway. If it's a long race, now if we're talking a sprint race of 20 laps, I'll do what I can to get up front. But so it's going to be a lot of different strategies. We'll see what happens. Just out of curiosity, Sam, who's your pick tonight?
I mean, looking at this field, there's a couple of drivers that are looking strong. If I had to really pick a driver, I think I might have to go with the driver that has tied with the most wins so far this season. That's going to be Keith Bradley in the 18 machine. I think that's going to be the driver in my eyes to watch out for. But, hey, he's going to be almost everyone's favorite pick coming into tonight.
Well, yeah, he's mine too, dang it. He stole my pick. I've known Keith for a while. I've painted a few trucks for him and stuff like that. So he's fun to watch. He really is.
Oh, absolutely. And, for picking Keith Bradley just because he's gotten the win, and also looking at the field of drivers that have shown up here tonight, our Talladega winner from back at race 11 of the season, that of Dustin Strux, who did not show up here tonight. He's actually a part-time driver. So, hey, we've got a lot of full-time drivers here, a lot of part-time drivers as well. But one of the biggest fields that the drivers have had during the playoffs going to be here tonight, expecting about 25 or more trucks to hit the surface as qualifying is now up for about 10 minutes. But, John, super speedway racing, especially in the playoffs, I mean, there is a lot of pressure on for these drivers.
Absolutely. You don't want to make mistakes when you're in the top 16. I'm going to be honest with you, Sam. I'm not too familiar with these guys. Not sure how many races they have left in this particular round, but at any point in the playoffs, there's a little added extra stress to your already stressful job of getting that car around the track enough times to finish. But then when you're in the top 16, you've also got to worry about, don't lose points to so-and-so, don't give up too many positions to that guy, stuff like that. So there's always added pressure, in the playoffs. Sorry.
Oh, absolutely. And, you might be wondering, and so should the audience be wondering what's going on. Well, we are now in the middle of the playoffs. This is the round of 16. Last week was the start at Atlanta, where that of Devin Painter got his win. Then here tonight, we've got Daytona. And then next week at Kansas, it's going to be finishing out the round of 16. Again, it's all based off of points. We're going to give you a rundown here shortly. And then after the round of 16, we cut 8 drivers out. We go to the Elite 8. Only 8 drivers get to move on to that next round, where it's going to be at Nashville Superspeedway as well as Richmond for those drivers. So a lot of pressure to do well at those race courses, but it goes from 3 races in that round of 16 to only 2 races for the Elite 8. And then we cut it down in half again for Championship 4 drivers to race at that of Charlotte Motor Speedway in just about 5 weeks. So the pressure's on. You have to be practically perfect from this point to the end of the playoffs.
Yeah, and you mentioned a track, Richmond. Man, I don't know who put their schedule together, but that is a tough track to have in the middle of the playoffs. But it's a fun track. It's actually one of my favorite tracks. But I tell you what, Sam, it just goes back to what you mentioned a minute ago, is pressure. If you think pressure is going to be tough on you here at Daytona, wait till they get to Richmond.
Yeah, Richmond, I mean, starting out the Elite 8, you've got Nashville Superspeedway. It's the concrete, only a 1.3-mile course. So drivers have that, and then they go into Richmond, and those are your 2 tracks to figure out who's racing for a championship. So that Elite 8 round, it goes from a 3-2-1 type of a playoff system. 3 races for the elite, for that of the Sweet 16 that made it into the playoffs. Then for the Elite 8, only 2 races to figure out who races for a championship, and only 4 drivers have that chance. Well, you're seeing drivers currently right now qualifying and hitting the track. As you see, the 6 car going to be on there. That's going to be Adam Neighbors, who's going to be that driver. Niebert, excuse me, who's going to be in the 6. And currently 10th place after qualifying for the 6 machine, and going to be going for his 2nd lap around. John, we're seeing these drivers running low for qualifying, trying to get as much speed as possible on this second try, but what little factors or things are these drivers really focusing on during qualifying?
As little input to the vehicle as possible. You don't want to steer it too much. You want this, you want to keep your momentum up as high up as possible. But we saw, they run the first 2 laps, your warm up or your out lap, as they call it, up high to get this truck up to max speed as quickly as possible. And then on your money lap, that's the final lap, you want to get it down to that yellow line as quick as possible without scrubbing off speed. And then while you're running that lap, Sam, you just got to keep the input on the steering wheel to a minimum. That way your front tires aren't moving at all, which actually scrubs off speed. And I mean, it could be just a 1/10 of a second, but on a super speedway, that's a lot of room.
As that of the 6 is done, but as we take a look at the weather for tonight's race, looking at this, as weather is presented by that of livesimracing.com. Weather, ambient temperature, 66 degrees outside, a little bit of wind of 5 miles per hour, dropped from 6, and then track temp being 67 Fahrenheit for these drivers. So pretty cool night for these drivers, also overcast, but at nighttime, it's all about how cool the track really can be.
Absolutely, and 67 degrees on track, Sam, that's going to mean that there's a ton of grip out there. So we'll be able to watch these guys. They're going to put these trucks anywhere they want to on track, as long as there's not another truck there, I should say. That's when you have accidents.
Yeah.
But yeah, a cool track equals more grip. Also higher speeds. We may actually see some, we saw 47 10s, I think, in practice. I would not be surprised with these cooler temperatures if we saw the whole pack turn in sub 46s, sub 47s somewhere in the night if they keep it straight and keep it in a big pack like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at what qualifying was like for these drivers and also what qualifying times were like. And we're going to be talking about the draft all night long when drivers are in line in a big group with one another. But from qualifying times, some of the fastest drivers are running 52-second lap times, while they were in the draft during practice, running 47.5-second lap times.
There you go.
So finding these drivers It is extremely different on what pace you're going to have. So you have to make sure you're still in the draft once we go green. Again, another 3.5 minutes still left in qualifying. But John, when you lose the draft, it can go all over as we take a look here at what practice results were like for these drivers. And on top of the board, it was that of Keith Bradley that found the quick speed during practice.
Well, that's Mr. Excitement himself, Keith the Animal Bradley. But yeah, back to the speed you're talking about, Sam. It's crazy how big of a difference it is between a qualifying on your, on your own, 2 laps by yourself, and then you get on the track with 8 or 9 trucks, and boom, you're hitting 47s. And what some folks may not understand is this is a fixed setup league, and what that means is you've got one setup that they run for qualifying, practice, and the race. It's all the same setup, and it's a race setup. Now, what that means, folks, is there's no tape on the grill. Well, there is tape, but there's not as much as you would have in a qualifying run. So, that's the big difference right there is why you're seeing speeds of 52 seconds around this track during qualifying is because, it's a race setup. But like Sam and I have discussed, once they get on track in the race and get packed up, you're going to see 47th. Now, that pole position is really important, Sam. That means that Keith's going to be up front. He can start this race if he wants to. He can do the restarts if he's on the pole, wherever he wants to on track. But the thing is, if he gets out to too big of a jump on the start, they'll catch him in a hurry and pass him if he's not careful.
Yeah, we're still waiting for official where drivers going to lie for qualifying, and got to take a look there at where drivers were the fastest during practice. And John, this is playoff racing, a Sweet 16 that the league was naming it. We're just about a little less than 2 minutes to go here with qualifying being over. But those 16 drivers that we're going to be keeping our eyes on, last week's winner, that of Devin Painter, who won but is not locked into the next round. It's going to be also having that of Stephen Thomas, Joey Doucette, Robbie Richards, as well as Keith Bradley, Chris Cinnamon, that of Brady LeBruff, as well as that of Taylor Peacock. Going to be your 8 drivers that are inside of the top 8 coming into the night's race. But then the 8 drivers that are outside looking in, we've got that of Riviera, that of Bullock, as well as Quinn, Shepard, Meza, McKinnon, Knott, and Zimmerman. Those drivers all needing to have solid days today, especially solid stage points, as it's going to be the top 10 that gets stage points for themselves. And a lot of the drivers that are outside looking in, they are double digits outside of our Elite 8, so they need to make sure they have solid runs here tonight.
Well, I have a quick question for you, since you seem to be the man with the plan. So basically what it boils down to, as far as playoff picture goes, it's the best 8 that finish ahead of the other 8, basically, correct? I mean, it doesn't matter if they win or not, as long as it's going to be the top 8 finishers of the Sweet 16 that advance to the next round, correct?
Yep, it's all about consistency for this round.
Okay, just want to make sure. This point system that they've got, it's unique, and I don't want to say it's confusing. If you have a couple of hours to look at it, you'll probably figure it out. But I'm on the fly here, so bear with me. And I'm old, and I got brain damage, so I've got a lot of excuses in my pocket here. So I just keep whipping them out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they're all good questions, because our audience might be wondering the same exact thing of how does it all go down. And for us, it's been a long week of trying to remember everything that we got to go, because it is amazing to be back. We've got NASRA back on here Friday nights on LSRTV, and excited to see how the rest of the season's going to go for these drivers. And John, it's a pleasure to work with you again. It's been a while since we worked with one another in the booth, so I'm excited to see how tonight's race is going to go. Last time that NASRA was back at a super speedway race, it was pretty clean racing for the first half of the race, but the second half, it got real mixy. A lot of drivers wrecking into one another. And John, there is no fast repair for these drivers. It's all about making sure your truck is as clean as possible when you come to the end of the race.
Absolutely, and that's very important, folks, especially on a super speedway. If you get damage, aerodynamic damage on this track, you're done. I mean, you're not going to be able to hang with the pack. So one of the things we'll be looking at, Sam, is front fenders on these trucks. Make sure, when we see guys getting mixed up in something, check the fenders and see how badly damaged they are, because that's going to determine how well they can keep up with the pack. And I'll tell you what, if it's one of those top 16 guys, there's going to be some angry things said. Angry things.
Oh, yeah, we are excited to see how the driver's going to be reacting here tonight. Are they going to be patient or are they not? But all we know is Logan Quinn in the pole position for your team. 126 Racing starting lineup, as well as that of Kyle Hess, who's going to be going to the outside for row number 1. Row number 2 is going to have that of Steven Thomas in the 23, as well as Michael McKinnon. McKinnon's looking to have a solid day as he's outside looking in. Going to be 14th in points. Needs a solid day. Row number 3, we're going to be finding ourselves with Keith Bradley. Both John and I picked for him to be a driver to watch out for that could win here tonight, as well as that of Joey Doucette in the 16. Row number 4, these drivers going to be having that of Jose Luis Riviera going to be in the 97, as well as Blake Lothan's going to be in the 59, finishing out row number 4. Row 5, going to be that of Adam Nubet's going to be in the 6, as well as Ronald Cole in the 5. Over to you, John.
In row 6, it's going to be Raul Meza and outside Taylor Peacock, Row 7 will be Brady LaBeouf and Torrey Thompson in the 88. Row 8, 64 of Devin Painter, last week's winner. Outside of him, Eric Zimmerman in the 94. Next row, 9, 22 of Jeffrey Sickles. Outside of him, Jacob Cleancart in the 42 truck. And row 10, 43 of Dana Shepard. And beside him will be the number 2 of Ted Wade.
Row number 11 going to find that of Stephen Williams, as well as Robert Richards is going to be in the 48 for row number 11. Row 12 going to be that of Brandon Bullock, as well as Dana Hagen. And that should be another couple of rows to go with Stefan, that of Gregory, and also Mikey Williams in the 32. And finishing out is going to be that of Cody Knotts in the 26. And John, it's okay. We got mixed up. It's only, it's start of the season for us, but for the drivers, they're getting ready and prepared, as it is going to be 26 drivers going to be up and battling. A few drivers decided to get an EOL. That's going to be Kyle Haas, Joey Doucette, and also Keith Bradley going to be starting all the way in the back of the field. So Cody Knott, yes, he's scheduled to be one of the last drivers, but he'll be further back. As the pace truck pulls off, it's time for 80 lap of racing action. It's the Jimmy Strong 200 here at Daytona, presented by Millie's Restaurants and Catering, as the drivers roar down the front stretch and into turn number 1. Watch out for McKinnon, as he's going to be trying to make some bold moves. Is already going to be in that lead position on the inside.
Yes, he is. He kind of ducked down in a hurry there to grab that lead. McKinnon did. In the meantime, he's got Quinn Lothian and Thomas and Cole behind him. Still 2x2 right now, Sam. Pretty calm start, if you ask me. But we do see some guys back there maybe trying to think about making it 3 wide. And right there they do. That 5 truck kind of got shuffled out there.
Yeah, got a little bit moved out of the way was the 5 of that of Cole, and Cole's got to be finding where he wants to place himself moving forward. Again, we're going to be seeing trucks, picking and choosing how aggressive they want to be, as we're already seeing our front about 10, 15 drivers staying side by side, and the rest of the row deciding, we're just going to give you space, pull away, have some fun, we'll stay in line back here.
In the meantime, those guys that took the EOLs, Bradley, Doucette, Knott, and those guys, they've kind of made a little pact of their own back here in the back, and I think that falls back to what we talked about at the top of the show, Sam. They're just going to take it easy for the first probably half of this race. It's 80 laps. That's a long time at Daytona. Oh, by the way, I want to change my pick. I want to go with Mr. LaBeouf. I found out he is from Houma, Louisiana. That's local to me. He's a fellow Cajun, so I'm changing my pick to Mr. LaBeouf.
And Brady LaBeouf, as you see the 9 on the outside, got to be the 4th truck further back. So, hey, that's not a bad pick. You got driver, I'm going to pick the driver that's playing the patient card, that of Keith Bradley, and you're going to go with the guy who's figuring out where he really wants to go. As you see the 9, putting his nose up, thinking about moving up, but at the same time, not finding that many drivers that want to go to that 3rd lane just yet.
Well, Daytona is not really known for a fast high line up there, that 3rd line. And when you've got, we got a guy pulling down here. That's going to be the 23. I believe he's probably just going to follow the back. That's Thomas in that 23 truck there, Sam. He's probably going to go ahead and try and play it safe as well and fall into the back of the pack there.
Yeah, and for that of Thomas, some drivers going to be deciding to go low, just get out of the way, because there up front, it is going to get chaotic here, especially because you've got a lot of those drivers that are outside of the top 8 in points that are needing to get as many stage points as possible. And stage 1 going to be at lap 15 for these drivers. So the drivers that duck low, their whole entire goal and plan, go back, get some fresh air, and try not to get into any of the troubles. You're already seeing the 5 ducking it high, and drivers are bobbing a lot. And that was something coming into tonight. Drivers were concerned how many people could really hold a line, or are we going to be seeing a lot of this bobbing and weaving through the corners? John, you noted on, not a lot of input coming in too, as you get a great close look of the inside of the engine on a nice bump draft there from Peacock into the 59. But drivers' inputs, that is going to be something for everyone to keep their eyes on, especially when you're in a pack.
Yeah, I've noticed, I've done a lot of iRacing on plate tracks, Sam, and it just seems to me that for some reason, drivers like the really low ratio. Usually it's like an 8-to-1, 10-to-1, something like that. But that's a very twitchy truck. And so that's what you're seeing when these guys are bobbing and weaving like that, is like the 5 truck just now. He took up a whole lane and a half right there. They have that really low input ratio. So what that means is it does not take a whole lot of input for that car to move left or right. I prefer a 14 or maybe even a 16 on super speedways. It helps me hold my line better. I just have to be able to react fast to what's going on in front of me. So that's why you see these guys jumping around like that, Sam, is they're probably running a very low ratio.
Yeah, and having a low steering ratio, also is one of the small things that you can change in a fixed setup league.
Exactly.
Where you're not able to change very much, but that's one of the 4 things that you really can change when you're in a fixed setup type of a league.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe in fixed setup racing, the brake bias and the steering ratio are about all you can change. And and the offset of the steering wheel. What the offset is, Sam, is when you're in the car and you're looking at it, if you have the wheels forward and back, straight forward and I don't even know what the word is, perpendicular, I guess. I don't know. But, straight facing forward, you take your wheel off and turn it maybe 4 or 5 degrees to the left and put it back on. You're putting an offset into the truck. And the reason you want to do that is because maybe your setup has your truck yawing a little bit to the left or right. And that just helps you. It's more about, I guess, drivers feeling for the way the steering wheel feels in their hands as they're driving down the stretch. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes a lot of sense on the offset.
Yeah,
offset, it's more of a comfortability for these drivers for sure.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry for yelling in your ear there. My cat just decided to bite my toe.
Oh no! I was wondering what happened. I was like,
I'm
everyone's
bleeding.
in line. I
I
don't think anyone wrecked.
No, I'll be right back. I'm bleeding. Just give me a second.
Oh, well, John's going to take a quick break to make sure that he is safe and sound, and hopefully that cat is not in any more trouble with him. But up front, it is still playoff racing again. Big thanks to NASRA coming back to LSRTV for the Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Up front, side-by-side racing. It's the 59 of Blake Lothan as well as that of Taylor Peacock that are battling side-by-side. And these drivers are going to continue to battle as hard as they can. And we're going to be seeing these drivers picking and choosing. But you're already kind of starting to see it now. When they're side-by-side, you either got to, move to that third lane if you want to move forward, or just hope the road that you're in starts moving faster. As again, this is playoff racing, race number 2 of 3 for this round of 16. And these drivers trying to get everything that they can, as it's all based off of points. But we're now considered halfway through stage 1. Stage 1 is at lap 15. So the drivers still going to be getting more and more aggressive to make sure they're inside of the top 10 as they keep moving forward. As still, it is that of Taylor Peacock in first position, with that of Blake Lothan to his outside, as well as, seeing our pole sitter, Logan Quinn, still running up front in the 44, second car on the inside. And you've also got Michael McKinnon, who's going to be on the outside, but we ride on board with the 44 of that of Logan Quinn and get a sense of what the 44 is feeling on the inside as, you know, you see the trucks on the outside get a great run, surging forward. Lothan as well as that of McKinnon made a huge run, and now we're going to be able to move ahead, but you can just see there's not a lot of visibility to see there because once both of the front two drivers moved down, all that Quinn could see was the back bumper of the 81 as we're going onto the front stretch, coming to 10 laps to go. John, I know your cat attacked you, but hey, at least we still are green here racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really glad I wasn't actually driving with these guys at that point. That could have been catastrophic. But, you know, I just noticed something, Sam. It's very interesting to me. I think we have 6 or 7 of our Sweet 16 guys are actually up in the top 10 racing as hard as they can right now to get some good points for this into the stage coming up in about 5 laps. And that just shows you who the more aggressive guys are in that bunch of drivers.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a lot of these drivers and where they're at. I mean, Michael McKinnon, who's riding in second currently, he needs to be gaining a lot of points as he's going to be the first car on the inside. McKinnon coming into tonight's race, 14th in points, and was about 15 points or more outside of making it into our Elite 8. So needing to have a lot of points for this 13 team, and that's why we're seeing him moving up front, as well as Logan Quinn, another driver that needs to get a lot of points, as well as Riviera back in 6th place. And oh boy, watch out! McKinnon almost just completely door banging that of the 81, but holds on to not make any contact. But that was a scary moment there, John.
Yeah, it was. Sorry if I vocalized that. I get nervous when I'm watching these guys on super speedways because, as you said before, Sam, it does not take much. Literally, all you got to do, if you can reach out the window of these cars and push on the fender, you'd spin a guy out. That's how close to being out of control they are. But it should tell you something about the caliber of driver we have here in sim racing, that they can still control these things. So I tell you what, it's getting really kind of exciting up front, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. We're starting to see drivers shuffling a lot more because we're getting closer to the end of the stage. But at the same time, you got to weigh the risk and reward here because, yes, you're trying to get a lot of stage points, but at the same time, there's still a lot of racing to go. Again, that of lap 15 is going to be the end of stage 1. Stage 2 will go until lap 32. So that second stage is going to be a much shorter stint where we're going to be seeing drivers get even more aggressive than what we're seeing right now. But luckily, we have stayed green currently, but we've already seen a lot of scary moments of drivers flaring up on the inside and almost making contact with that outside row.
Yeah, and I mean, and another thing we have to keep, or they have to keep a mind of, Sam, is that wonderful term, net code. That's the most feared part of sim racing, folks. That's when your internet provider says that you're in one spot of the track and the other internet provider says, no, he's over here, and the trucks make contact and everybody spins out. Hopefully, we won't see any of that tonight, knock on wood. But, yeah, that's a big concern also when they're racing this hard, this close on super speedway.
Yeah, and also another thing to watch out for is bump drafting. We've already saw the 81 of Peacock willing to give a little bit of a bump to that of Blake Lowther earlier, but I mean load in. But I'm interested to see if we do see anyone bump draft. There are certain parts of the back bumper of a truck that you don't want to hit. Also, parts of the track where you don't want to give someone a bump, which we're going to be keeping our eyes out as those quarter panels. Those are no-no zones on where you really want to bump these trucks.
Oh, absolutely. And you don't want to do it in the tri-oval either. If you hit a guy in the tri-oval, that's where the truck is the loosest, is in the tri-oval. That's the same at Talladega as it is here. Of course, not in the turns either. I mean, that's really a bad spot to do it. But I've seen some guys just barely tap the front to the back of a truck at the tri-oval and literally just wipe the guy out. But look at the 13. He is really aggressively bump drafting. I'm sorry, does that truck say KY on it? Yes, it does. The 44 of Quinn. I'm sorry, that completely caught me off guard right there.
As we're coming to lap 15.
The aggression is really pumping up right here.
Oh, absolutely. As you see, that of McKinnon trying to make a move to the outside, going to be trying to move up and got to make sure you can make any types of moves as this is the white flag of stage 1 for these drivers. So all eyes on who can be up front. This is the lap that could really ruin a lot of these drivers' day. Again, there is no fast repair. So if you're caught up in a wreck, you're going to have to come into pit road, manually wait for those repairs to get done, which could put you multiple laps down. But right now, it's the 59 up front. Blake's doing a great job, and he's got his help from Peacock that's been just on his back bumper since the start. But now we're seeing Cole get back into the mix. We're seeing the 13, McKinnon. He's losing ground, but will we see Peacock move high and try to make a pass? He will.
There you
Moving
go.
high, they're already wrecking, John.
Oh, that wasn't a big one, but yeah,
Ooh.
we have two cars down the infield, one on the outside wall, and I do believe I saw some of our Sweet 16 involved in that, Sam, and that's what we were talking about, the aggression, trying to make something happen, coming down to that last that green and white checkered flag for the end of the stage, and man, look at the side of that truck. It is wiped out.
Yeah, that was that of Riviera that was in that. As here is your Pulse Bombers instant replay. And we saw the 61, having his issues, but it's going to be ahead where we're going to be seeing drivers bobbing and weaving where they want to place. And the 13 just came down, and there goes Riviera as well as LaBeouf. And just
that was
hard contact, but luckily able to come down.
Yeah. The damage on the 97 and the 9 isn't going to be too bad, I don't think. That guy that got in the wall is probably going to have a handful of front suspension work that's going to need to be fixed on that truck. And aerodynamics. The 9's got some aerodynamic damage there. I believe the 97 is going to have some front-end damage, so we're going to see it, Sam. See these guys. The good news is they're under caution, and it takes almost 2 minutes to run around this track under caution. So they can catch back up to the pack, wait for pit road to open, get in there, and hopefully get the repairs done and not go a lap down.
Well, pit road's about to get very busy, so we'll take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll see where the drivers lie for the start of Stage 2.
An automobile purchase shouldn't be hard. The hardest part for the consumer in the whole process should be selecting the vehicle. We have the online credit application. We can bring the car to you to see it, to test drive it, to deliver it. We have all the tools in place, and we've had them in place for a long time. I just think now we've perfected it. It's become part of our culture. We've, kind of taken it to the next level. It is easy, and it should be easy, and it should be fun, and it shouldn't take a whole lot of time.
Hey, it's Wesley Outland on the set of the Bull Ring on Speed 51 TV, but I also want to remind everybody that you can keep up with coverage of esports with the Northwest Cup and Truck Series, the American iRacing League, S&B Cup Series, and so much more on your home for sim racing, LSRTV. Of course, remember, you can watch it, and then you can listen to it on CRN, the community radio network, at wearecrn.com. Check us out when you can.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to that of NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series here on that of LSR TV. Pitts Road was extremely busy under commercial break, but John, issues for the 59, that of Blake Lothan, who's going to be finding himself falling back after making a major mistake under pit road.
Yeah, he blew through his pits there, had to back up to get into it. It's going to cost him some spots on this restart. The good news is they're under caution, Sam, so he won't come out by himself out of the draft wondering where the heck everybody's at.
Yeah, and right now, front four were the only drivers that came in for fuel only, but over the radio, that of Stephen Thomas. One of those front four actually had to come back into pit road. Issues for the 23. It looked like his pit crew showed that he was going to get service done, but actually never gave him fuel or tires. So the 23 that was up front in our top four, now going to be falling all the way back, similar we're going to be seeing from that of Keith Bradley, Robert Richards, that as well as Kyle Haas, all coming into pit road just to top off here to get themselves up, staying back out of trouble like they did earlier. But pretty sure they're just planning on making sure that they've got less fuel for the next time they come into pit road.
Absolutely. And I tell you, the guys that were involved in that accident earlier, hold on, I'm having some technical issues. There it is. Couldn't find the picture. Those guys have gotten their damages fixed, but they're going to be restarting back here in the back. So there'll be some guys to keep your eyes on. Let's see, who was it? That was LaBeouf in the 97, I think, of Rivera. So they're restarting 22nd, 23rd, 24th in that area there. And we have somebody that's lap down.
And then also,
26.
yeah, Cody Knott there were other drivers that were heavily damaged that also had to stay in for an extra lap, and Cody Knott was one of those drivers that had major front end damage. It looked like he was down on power, so had to stay in for an extra time. And the 26 is going to be our first car a lap down, and we'll see if any other drivers have to stay out. But right now, it's going to be that of Taylor Peacock, Adam Nebert, as well as Jacob Kinglerhart, as well as Blake Lothan. They're going to be your top 4, with Logan Quinn, who's going to be your top 5, as we are getting ready to go green here once again. A playoff racing, race 2 of 3 of the round of 16 to see who's going to be moving on to the round of 8. Pace truck pulls off, and we are green once again for the Jimmy Strong 200 here for stage number 2. And John already seen some drivers trying to get through the gears, and the 42 trying to give a little bit of a bump, but not close enough. It's the outside row that gets the better launch.
Yeah, Newbert swings down and takes that line. It looked like some wheel spin there from a couple of trucks. Sam, on that restart, wheel spin's never fun, especially when you're on a super speedway and you got everybody behind you. But in the meantime, up front, Newbert's got Peacock right on his bumper. I don't think Peacock's happy about losing that lead the way he did, but it's one and done already. So here we go through 3 and 4. Those guys are making themselves a little bit of room there from the 42 of Clean Cart, and then you got Lothan and Quinn rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, and Peacock's been one of those drivers that has been extremely aggressive and willing to shove practically anyone to get them up front if it gives him an advantage, as well as we're seeing our front 4 all in line, and that outside row not really built up that strong, but here comes Cole with the great run. The 5 machine trying to get things going on the outside row, but like we were touching on about input, here's a lot of wiggling from the 5, which every time you wiggle is losing, scrubbing off time, and Peacock almost coming up, and now finally having space to do so.
Yeah, he was thinking of popping up and getting some help from those guys to try and get around the 6 of Newbert. It almost worked, but we saw that right before the caution and the stage break there. The outside line, they need to all be nose to tail and really smooth on their inputs to make anything happen, to get the momentum to make that surge. We saw it happen right before the flag flew earlier, the caution flag, but I don't think it's going to happen now. Peacock actually lost 2 spots there.
Peacock lost some spots, and he came in just in front of the 44. A little bit of a scare for those drivers. They're teammates from Powerhouse Motors, but at the same time, when you're seeing some of these late moves that Peacock has done a couple of times here, those can start to add up, and you got to be careful for the 81. If he's starting to do these late hesitation moves, that could be a little bit of a recipe for the big one to strike later on.
Not just that, but you're going to give the guys around you pause when it comes to helping you out. Even a teammate's going to be like, well, I don't know where this guy's going to go from one minute to the next. I'm not real sure I want to try and push somebody like that. I know that's how I look at it. I mean, if I got a guy who's all over the place like that, 1 minute he's up high and then the next, boom, he swings down low. I don't like racing against guys like that on a super speedway. So that's another thing for him to keep in mind. Right now, he is very aggressively seeking that second spot from the 42 of Clinkard.
And drivers further back having some issues. The 23 looked like it further back is up front. They continue to race on, but almost a major wreck as drivers stay straight. But right now, up front, they are guiding away. Do want to give a little bit of an update, though. I did misspeak saying that Peacock and Quinn were on teammates. They were right next to one another. I misread that. Actually, it is that of Peacock that is on Straight Cash Money Racing, while that of Quinn is on Powerhouse Motorsports. Quinn is with that of Stephen Thomas, as that of Peacock is actually with that of Stefan Gregory.
Well, there goes Peacock again up high, trying to get some help from that high line. When he sees them coming in his mirror, he's just going to jump up there. And what that does, though, is that causes them to lose their momentum. As you see right there, they're falling back again. So he's going to squeeze down in front of that 44 like he did last time there, Sam. And, wow, look at that. Look, jeez, man. That guy is something else. He really is.
Oh, absolutely. And he's sending it anywhere he really wants at the moment, which is a dangerous thing, especially because this second stage is actually just a couple of laps less than what our first stage was, as we went green, just a couple of laps ago. But these drivers can stage 2 going to be having a conclusion at the end of lap 32. So drivers know, hey, we're less than 10 laps to go in stage 2, and that's kind of why we're starting to see these drivers ramp up once again with their side-by-side racing.
Yes, they are. They are definitely ramping up the aggression right now. And here's the thing, the 81 is up top now. He's made his bet. He's going to have to sleep in it. There is no room between second and third for him to jump back down if he wants to. The 44 of Quinn is kind of edged up there and closed that gap. In the meantime, we're seeing, Sam, that high line is definitely losing speed. And we've kind of got like about a 15-car pack right here out front. And then, we've got the guys that were all caught up in that wreck just back there hanging out by themselves, it looks like.
Yeah, and this is the second pack that we were touching on, as it's Keith Bradley that's actually leading this group. They're all in line trying to gain speed, but because some of the drivers actually have damage, their drivers that are further back had to come into pit road to get service done. But when all this second pack is in line, they're actually running, decent pace, but they're still a full second off of what our leaders are running because they're not as close with one another, and the damage is just stacking up with this second group.
Yeah, when you've got a vehicle that's badly damaged, even if it's running behind you, it's like having an anchor on the tailgate of the truck. So they're just going to continue to lose time. What they're going to need is this next stage break to get. But in the meantime, up high, the 42 has jumped up in front of Peacock, and he is challenging for the lead.
Jacob in the 42 trying to get everything that he can, and right now trying to be the leader of stage 2. And we were talking to Jacob McClickart, which before this race, and I got to say, talking with him, and his actual, scheme artist is the father of Jimmy, who we are all, trying to support here tonight. And we were getting a little bit of information, and I got to say, really for, Jacob with his 42, he would love to get the win here tonight. But he is certainly, the goal is for a great finish for himself and to get this 42 machine up in the top 3 if possible.
Yeah, that's a good-looking truck, too. I'll tell you what, I like those colors. They really stand out, especially on a night scheme. But he is really giving it his best to take the stage 2 win, or at least try to get the lead away. He's got to take the lead first before he gets the win. And he's being real patient. Now, I tell you what, that's loyalty to the outside line. He's been clear of that 6 several times already. He could have just jumped down, but he hasn't done that yet. He's trying to help that outside line clear that bottom line before he makes his move down.
And as we're seeing the 42 up front and leading, big thanks to, again, that of McClickhart's scheme artist. And also, if you'd like to help out Jimmy Strong, we will have a link in the chat, actually, to help donate if you would like to donate and help the family, as Jimmy is dealing with cancer. And, it's really hard when you see a family member, especially a child, dealing with, cancer. It is one of the harder things to deal with. So right now, this 42 team leading the way, and if anything, putting a smile on everyone else that's supporting.
Well, he's showing he's got what it takes to get up front and get in the lead. He went down and took that inside line. Now he's got some help behind him from the 6 of Newbert. And unfortunately, that's just going to let Peacock and them see that they're not going to have enough help up top. It's only 4 cars compared to 13, 14 down low. So they're going to need a couple more cars to give them some help up top before they can make anything happen. In the meantime, it's lap 29 of 80, but we're only 4 laps away, Sam, from that next stage break.
Yeah, stage break, end of lap 32 for these drivers. Only the top 10 get bonus points, and we're starting to see, the resurgence of some drivers that were involved with the wrecks. You noted on the fact of the 97, of that of Riviera that was part of that first wreck and almost brought out our first yellow of the day is the 32. Mikey Williams drifts up a little bit too high, getting into Cole. Got to be careful with the drivers and the side drafting that they're trying to do, but that 97 with this lead pack and still running decently strong as he's the fourth car on that outside row.
Yeah, Rivera's looking really good. I mean, he had a substantial amount of damage after that first incident right before our first stage break. And here he is right now up there in the top 10, helping that outside line, or trying to anyway. They're going to need more cars, Sam, if they want to make anything happen. As you can see right now, the top 4 have inched by that outside line up there. And I just think it's going to continue like that until the caution flag waves.
Yeah, I mean, it really looks like on the outside row, we're seeing Peacock as well as that of Shepard trying to make that outside line work. It's really cool in the 5 that's lingering back and not really putting a lot of pressure for the drivers to get going. And it's kind of like you noted on, need just a few more drivers to pop up if they want to make that outside line move, as we're 2 laps away from stage 2 coming to a conclusion. And, noted on the fact that qualifying can sometimes be important. Well, for the drivers that are up in the top 10, we're seeing drivers that have been up multiple, if not, double digits position-wise, as our leader currently, that of Jacobs, got up 17 positions. Mikey Williams, you see him on the inside, the green and black machine, up 20 positions from himself. And then also the 43 of Dana Shepard is going to be up 14 positions from where they started. So, hey, we're seeing these drivers that were further back seeing an opportunity to get a little bit aggressive here, as yellow is going to be thrown here for the drivers up front, and that's going to be the end of stage number 1.
That stage number 2, right? Or am I confused?
Yeah, stage 2. Excuse me.
Okay. Hey, man, I'm gullible. I'm easy to mess with.
If you say it confident enough, everyone's going to believe it. No.
Shh, don't say that.
I've got so much. I love getting new series, but it's always the first race or so where I'm just like, okay, I've got all this information. Shoot, what's going on in the race sometimes? But stage 2 has now come to a close, and the drivers kind of confused on why the yellow was thrown a lap early. Got notified that race control forgot what lap they were actually supposed to throw it on, so a lap sooner than they were expected.
Hey, what?
So I called the wrong stage. They pressed it too soon. It equals out.
Yeah, it equals out. I'll tell you what, that was a true story real quick if I have time. Southside Speedway, 1990, I want to say 4 or 5, late model feature. And unfortunately, the flag man, his butt hit the yellow button on the last lap of the feature and threw the caution. So that's about the time they decided, hey, we're going to put this button back here under a cover. But yeah, caution.
Yeah, that's
flags,
a smart
man.
move.
Yeah.
No,
But,
there's so many
congratulations
stories
to that
of
42 truck for taking that stage win. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, I'm sure you've got a few. You sound like you've been around the block a time or two yourself.
Yeah, there's been a couple that have been accidentally thrown by race admins a couple of times by they thought they were pushing a button that was changing something for their setup, and it turns out they accidentally pushed the yellow button, and we didn't mean to throw a yellow at that time, but hey, we'll work with it as drivers have caught up to the pace truck and getting ready to go into pit road and get service done. All drivers going to be coming in as, John, this is the last stage break for the night. We're going to be racing it to the end after this pit stop, so drivers got to make sure they don't make any mistakes. We already saw, the 46 make a mistake on his first pit stop of, actually take that back to 59, making his mistake, as drivers got to be careful not to get in the wall, as that's a big no-no as well.
Oh, yeah, that was the 6. He's still not in his pit box yet. So he is going to lose several spots on track, unfortunately. And, I mean, it's amazing how when the announcers say something like that, it actually happens. Interesting.
The commentator's curse. It's always
commentator's curse.
Still baffles everyone's minds on how it works, as it's going to be the 97 out of pit road first for Vieira, as well as Peacock, Quinn, that of Joey Doucette, and Mikey Williams going to be your top 5 for these drivers as they get going. I mean, What a recovery for the 97, if anything. Just going with fuel on this pit stop. But John, after being involved in a wreck with having to get those, it looks like it was only side damage for the 97, to be up front, this restart's going to be very important to see how strong can the 97 be leading a group, or will he just be passed by everybody else?
Yeah, I'm really surprised at that move, to be honest with you. I mean, tires aren't that big a deal here, but still, I wouldn't want to be leading with the damage because I don't think he's going to be able to sustain that lead. And I think the guys behind him, directly behind him in that bottom line, are going to find that out real quick. Because if you look at that truck right there, Sam, that's a great shot right there. He's got a lot of right front damage right there. You see that tire poking out. You never want to see that. So that's definitely going to produce some drag, make that truck tight. And that whole west side is just, wow, that truck is really still damaged. I wonder if he even got those repairs made.
Well, he got a little bit of it repaired. As when you got side damage, it's very hard to get all buffered out. Usually when you get that cosmetic damage, it's all got to be there for the rest of the night. But you're just hoping that it visibly looks bad, but when you're running in the car, you're still having full power and the aero works just enough. As we hop back on board with the 44 of Logan Quinn, our pole sitter of the night, and get to see how these drivers are, gain a different view of how the 97 looks, because that whole entire right side got jacked up, and you can even see the right side, it's still even jacked up on the front side and on the rear just a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting restart, Sam, just because of the damage and the drag that's going to create going down the backstretch. It's not going to be noticeable until they get up to full song. Probably, well, not full, I wouldn't say even full speed, but definitely going down the backstretch of that first lap. You're going to notice, and I think there's going to be a great opportunity for that outside line to finally make something happen, and that should be great news for that 81 Peacock.
And I'm also interested to see the drivers that decide to stay back and be kind of patient, such as Keith Bradley and Kyle Hess, all those drivers that from the start of the race started back and have been just kind of been patient back of the field and were part of that second group. How aggressive are they wanting to be here, as there are no more stage breaks? It's all about finishing this race and trying to get as many points as possible. Again, this is the round of 16. It's not a win and you're in system for this round, so drivers' only goal is get as many points as possible, finish as consistent as possible. As pace truck pulls off, it's time for the drivers to get going once again, as we are green for the Jimmy Strong 200 by that Mills Restaurant and Catering, as they roar down into turn number 1. Already seeing Riviera kind of struggling to get up through the gears, as he'll do his best to stay on the inside, but you can just see Taylor Peacock just coming with a head of steam on the outside.
Absolutely, and that's what I was talking about. That damage is going to create a lot of drag, and Peacock's going to get a lot of help on the outside. He also got a great restart. That didn't hurt. And as I say that, he dips down to the inside line and kind of ditches the guys he had helping him. Hey, it's, that's some people. That's what they do. So you're going to see Peacock take the lead now in that 81 truck, and he's going to have that's hard. Is that Williams in the 32? Yeah, it's Williams in the 32 behind him. And, I think this will help out Rivera in that 97. If he gets some trucks around him, that damage will be less effective on the way his truck handles.
Yeah, the wind's going to be blowing over him and going to the next truck. If he was the last truck in line, that's where we could be seeing that rear damage be a little bit more of an influence, and he could be possibly losing the draft. While a lead truck, you saw it just was not able to really stay in front of anyone else. But in the middle, you feel comfortable and confident. But if you're going down below the yellow line, that's not where you want to be at all, as drivers got to be careful not to advance under the double yellow line, or could get penalized here as drivers get back in line for themselves. But it's side by side, kind of deja vu to the way that we were seeing stage 1 going there, John.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were talking about the guys that were playing it safe right before we went back to green here. I think we're going to see, we still have a long way to go. Still have, more than half the race to go. We're not even halfway yet. So these guys are going to want to be a little more aggressive, I'm sure, than they were at the start of this race, Sam. But they're also going to want to make sure that they don't get involved in any mess, at least not before the pit stop that we know is going to have to take place.
That 97 just grazed the apron. Oh boy, that could have been the big one with how you don't want to
Yeah.
touch the apron, especially on the exit where your truck is extremely light. Like you said, John, great save by Riviera there.
Oh, wow. I tell you what, Williams is just working the bumper on Peacock right now. Even in the turns, he was bumping him. I don't think he's going to show him any mercy right now. And that could be catastrophic, especially as the fuel burns off on these trucks and that back end gets lighter and lighter. You do not want to be touching them in the turns like that. And going back to what happened to Rivera in that 97, the reason he got loose like that, folks, is when he hit that apron, he put air underneath his truck, and that air is going to push that back end around. So yeah, there's just so many things you got to be careful with on these super speedways, Sam. So many things.
Yeah, I mean, you think of racing, a lot of people just think, hey, you're just turning left here at these major and massive courses. But those little tiny, arrow pushes or just the smallest mistakes could be costly for yourselves. As up front, still Taylor Peacock, Mikey Williams, Blake Lothan, as well as that of Riviera, as well as that of Gregory in the 61 moving up. And again, I made the mistake saying that the 44 and the 81 were teammates. Actually, it is the fact that Peacock and Gregory, the 81 and the 61, actually are teammates. We'll see if they can somehow get in line and start working with one another.
No, that's a that's a bug's view right there. That's what we call that, the bumper cam. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. He is working that bumper over, man. You guys remember in
Mikey
Days
Williams,
of Thunder?
Gosh.
When who was that? Rowdy Burns was bumping Cole Trickle and just kept hitting that bumper and knocking it looser and looser. That's probably a good thing we can't do that in iRacing just yet. Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
You don't want a piece of that bumper going through your grill in real life. That'll ruin your whole day right there. Yeah, that's something else we haven't talked about, Sam. I don't know. I haven't raced the trucks on Super Speedway in a while, but I do remember that overheating could be a problem. If you run too close to a guy for too long, even with the race setup, you got to watch temperatures. So I'm wondering if any of these guys have noticed that just yet.
Yeah, I mean, for Mikey Williams, he's got to be careful of that for sure, because if you are riding right on the back bumper of somebody for, I believe, a lap and a half, that is when your temperatures can get too high, and then you can see your engine blowing up as we ride on board with the 59, leading the outside row, as Blake Lothan's going to be leading this charge. And for Blake, he's been up front, he's shown that he can be up front, but his mistakes made during the end of stage 1 under pit road sent him further back in the field, now able, after all the pit stops after stage 2, back up front and kind of back to a place where he seems pretty comfortable, because John, Super Speedway Racing, there's drivers that love being the lead truck or lead car, and there's other drivers that much prefer just pushing someone to the win.
Yeah, I don't like pushing, man, to be honest with you. I've wrecked too many people trying to push them. I would rather just, be pushed. But wow, look at that. I'll tell you what, it really looked to me for a second there like Williams was going to duck to the outside and try and, maybe make a bid for the lead on the outside, but he, at the last second, changed his mind, which was probably a good idea because that 59 truck was coming.
Yeah, but you cannot make those hesitating moves, especially here, Super Speedway Racing. We noted on it, you're so close to one another, and you're trusting your spotter. If you're trusting the iRacing spotter system, or some drivers even get even more in-depth spotters that you can download, that you can hear, a little bit more information, or even have a digital, map that shows how close you are to the drivers next to you. I mean, if you are knowing you're clear, you can't hesitate to make moves if you're planning on making them. Got to be assertive and aggressive here, Super Speedway Racing, because those drivers that hesitate usually are the ones that find themselves causing the big one, which, surprising to say, but we've only seen one true wreck that almost brought out a yellow. We've seen other wrecks that, dispersed everyone in the middle of the pack during stage 2. But we know that the big one is always looming, John, when you come to these big old tracks. Question is, when will it strike?
Anytime, Sam. We've never been able to predict when the big one's going to happen. I mean, we could be rolling along nice and calm, and all of a sudden, boom, 32 cars are wrecked. So, you just can't predict it. But I tell you what, you made a really good point there. And I forgot what I was going to say. Wow, that's awesome.
Oh, no.
It sucks getting old, brother. Let me just tell you. And I'm sober. I want to emphasize that. I don't even drink when we do these announcements, when we call these races. And my brain sometimes will just shut down in mid-sentence. But look at this on the outside. The 59's got the 6 right in front of him. That's Newbert and, Lothan working that outside. Oh, wow.
Whoa.
It was bound to happen. I'm telling you, I knew that was going to happen. Williams is so aggressively pushing Peacock right now. That was a great save by Peacock right there. That could have been so much worse.
But up front, it is now the 6, Adam Newbert. And what is crazy to think, we were discussing the 6 mistakes under pit road, and he has rebounded completely to be up front, leading this race, as Lothan's now going to be ducking to the high side, getting some help from that of Taylor Peacock as well. Mikey Williams moves to the high line. What a swap from the inside being the more dominant lane to more trucks going to be on the outside.
Yeah, it looked like everybody decided they wanted to be on the outside all of a sudden there. And we got a fight 3. Oh, wow, look how loose Peacock got on the outside groove there. The 6 of Newbert got loose down on the inside. And we got one guy just stuck there, Lothan, in the middle all by himself. He's the meat in the sandwich, and it's not where you want to be, especially at Daytona.
Yeah, I mean, the middle is where it is not safe at all for Lothan. He's just hoping that he can drift back, but staying side by side for second place. It's going to be that Riviera. It's going to be on the inside, doing a great job holding his ground. But when you're 3 wide, there's not as much space. It's a lot more narrower than Talladega, where Talladega, you can easily go 3 wide comfortably. When you're 3 wide at Daytona, it is dangerous. You are so close, and one little mistake, especially with the way we've been seeing these drivers wiggling. Mike Williams got to be careful. Riviera gets on the apron as they're still 3 wide, and Lothan finds the speed and finally clears to stay up front, and now in second place, pushing that of Peacock up to first.
Has anybody told these guys they still have 35 laps to go? I mean, they're racing up front, Sam. Like, it's the last lap, man. It's intense, but it's spectacular. It really is.
Oh, absolutely. And I think at the same time, Peacock, one of those drivers, is trying to run well here tonight. Also, a couple of other drivers that are understanding they need to get a lot of points and are trying to just stay up front to give themselves a chance. But this aggression could ruin your night in an instant if you're not careful.
And if it happens up front, Sam, it'll ruin everybody's night. You know, we've seen that time and time again. When there's an accident up front, it usually takes out the first 15 or 20 cars behind you. And, you know, these guys got that in mind, I'm sure. The way they're racing is aggressive, but I'm sure in the back of their minds they're trying to think, you know, hey, I don't want to cause the big one. But, man, I tell you what, the way Peacock's driving right now, he's got that lead. He's wanting to keep it, and he's got Lothan back there to make sure he keeps it. Meantime, his former draft buddy, Williams, is up there on the high side with the 61 of Gregory. They're trying to make that high side work again.
Yeah, they are right on top of one another trying to make it work. And also, Mikey Williams is going to be doing a lot of side drafting with the 6, and Newbert's doing the best thing he can. Just stay stuck on that yellow line, try to follow the drivers ahead of you, and hope that your lane starts moving forward. As, you know, we're starting to see new drivers poking their head back into the top 10. You know, we got Raul Meza, who's going to be now trying to make passes for the 93, who's moved up to that of 8th place, as well as our Atlanta winner from last week, that of Devin Painter. He's starting to now move into the top 10. Keith Bradley is now up in the top 15. We're starting to see a little bit of those drivers that were being patient in the early goings in the first half of this race. Second half, it's time to go. Drivers making some scary moves. The light blue machine almost taking out some drivers there.
I just want to make sure I wake up here in the booth, that's all. But, you know, I want to get a shout out real quick, Sam. That 97 car Rivera, he is beaten, he is banged up, and he is riding right there to top 5, top 6. Has been since the restart. He took the lead on that he was in the lead on that restart, Sam. But we saw due to his damage, he couldn't hold it. But now that he's behind these guys, and he's got guys behind him, he's up there duking it out in the top 10. Has been for almost 20 laps now.
Yeah, I was wondering who that driver that was moving forward. It's Raul Meza that's making these power moves and just went from back in 8th place to almost up to 3rd. And now trying to push that of Mikey Williams on the outside moving forward if possible. But the 93 showing that there is a lot of speed. If you just give yourself the go button, you can get really aggressive and make some power moves up front, but at the same time, there is a lot of risk when you try to make those daring moves, because one slip up, and like we're going to be preaching about it all night long, it could take out a lot of drivers very quickly.
Absolutely, and I see a lot of yellow window banners up there too, which is our Sweet 16. One of them's leading the race right now, but if there's a big accident, my goodness, could you imagine what that would do to the points?
Yeah, I mean, for that, a painter, he's got to be feeling comfortable right now as he's in 11th, kind of in the middle of all this madness, just hoping the drivers up front don't cause any calamity. But for all the other drivers, they know it is time to get going and get up front. I mean, for, watching the drivers right now, that of Peacock, driver that is our bubble driver, Peacock's 8th in points coming into today's race. And so he's knowing, hey, I got to stay consistent, try to get a little bit more of a buffer between myself and the other drivers behind me. Well, for that 93 of Raul Meza coming in 13th in points, needing to really make almost a home run hit here tonight and get as many points as possible. That means riding up front here as it's less than 30 laps to go.
Yeah, this is going to be a fantastic race, I think, from here on out. I just wish I knew what their fuel mileage was. I'm pretty sure they are going to have to make one more stop. I'm just not real sure where it's going to be at. We've been green now for 20 laps or so, or maybe 19. I'm not sure. Actually, I can't tell. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks there, producer guy. Appreciate you.
19 laps we were given, and
19 laps
also,
of green.
Yeah, it's been great to see these drivers continuing to race green. We were given that the drivers are at 100% fuel load, so I'm imagining that they can go for at least 30 to 35. Yeah, that's what they're looking at, and that means it's going to be placing these drivers around lap 68 is going to be their window that we're looking for them to come into pit road. Might be able to stretch it out to possibly lap 70 with being in the draft and trying to save fuel, but 68 should be the window, and we start to see most of the field coming into pit road.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, 30, between 30 and 35, especially with the guys, like you said, in the back of the pack that are able to run around three-quarter, half throttle for some of these laps. And they look like they've kind of calmed down a little bit up front there, Sam. Maybe they realize, hey, we still have a lot of racing left to go.
Yeah, I mean, they've calmed down just slightly. I think it's a lot more of the drivers that are trying to jostle and put themselves. I mean, most of the drivers that are on the inside, they've decided, this is where I'm going to stay. It's the drivers on the outside that have been, when you kind of had to choose what path you want to be on. The inside is the more patient, relaxed, usually you can say. But the outside, if you're moving to the outside lane, your goal is to move forward and make some passes. We'll see who wants to be those drivers is already dropping down. Going to be that of the 56. Lothan's going to be deciding to go down. This is indicating to me he wants to be with drivers further back that he's going to feel a lot more comfortable with, as well as find teammates coming to pit road with.
Yeah, that's about the only thing I could think of right there was he's trying to maybe find a teammate to get ready to pit with, as we got a lap truck, 2 lap trucks now in front of the leader. We got some guys coming to pit road right now.
Yeah, that's going to be that of Robert Richards, as well as that of Keith Bradley. Hasn't also that of the number 9 who you're rooting for, of LaBeouf's coming in. So 4 trucks coming in together. I like this. 4 trucks. That's a good group of drivers come in. You like to see anywhere from 4 to 7 drivers coming in as a pack and as a group. Gives you enough trucks in line to then get going as drivers getting ready to go. I mean, this is already indicating, hey, we're right at the marker. We can make it from here. Let's just come into pit road, get our service done, and hope that this race stays green.
And if a caution comes out, they can stay out. They don't have to pit because, like I said earlier, tires really don't matter a whole lot here on super speedways. They run a super hard compound. I've literally gone an entire race of 80 laps with 1 set of tires, so tires won't be a problem. And so that's a really good call on those guys, especially Bradley, LaBeouf, the ones that are in the championship hunt. They're set. I mean, either way, everybody's gonna have to pit again. So even if there's a caution that comes out, these guys will be great. They'll be okay. In the meantime, back up front, that kind of shook things up there a little bit. Now we've got Williams on the in the lead there with Peacock on his 6, and the 6 of Newbert behind him, and 97 of Rivera are crashed up, buddy. He's in 4th. and they're kind of single file right now there, Sam.
Single file and trying to decide when they're going to come into pit road. And as they're making that decision, if any wreck happens, we're going to be cutting right back in as we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, more playoff racing here on LSRTV.
This is our series,
So many different pieces that you have to watch out for.
where the stakes are always higher,
$300,000.
where virtual meets reality,
How bad do you want it?
They're wasting no time getting at it.
where the best thrive and the flawless win. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Hey, it's Wesley Outland on the set of the Bull Ring on Speed 51 TV, but I also want to remind everybody that you can keep up with coverage of esports with the Northwest Cup and Truck Series, the American iRacing League, S&B Cup Series, and so much more on your home for sim racing, LSR TV. Of course, remember, you can watch it, and then you can listen to it on CRN, the community radio network, at wearecrn.com. Check us out when you can.
Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, right? Our Ram trucks, truck of the year, amazing trucks. We have fun Jeeps, and then the exciting Dodge and Chrysler products. Lots of performance there, lots of excitement there. They've done a great job in really creating a full scope product line that could suit everybody's needs. Whether it's a family vehicle or a fun vehicle or a utility type vehicle or a big truck, we've got it all for our customers.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to playoff racing here for the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. It's been a lot of scary situations. Already you've seen a pack of drivers coming to pit road to do their money stop here tonight. But it is the Jimmy Strong 200 presented by Millie's Restaurant and Catering here tonight's race at Daytona. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is John Mustin. And John, we've been seeing drivers doing a great job here tonight of keeping themselves up front for the most part. We've only had 2 wrecks so far. Neither of them have brought out a yellow. Our only yellows have been for Stage 1 and Stage 2 coming to a conclusion. No more stages. We race it to the end. Up front, it's Mikey Williams in the 32.
Yes, sir. It's been a really exciting race so far, Sam, and we touched on before we went to commercial break, and you just recapped on a little bit. We had 4 guys duck down pit road for their last pit stop of the evening. And if you look right here, they're just a half a lap, maybe less, in front of the leaders, and that's not going to be a problem for them. There are 4 trucks. When everybody else has to pit, they'll be able to maintain some good speed and catch back around the field. So we're going to be looking for some pit stops here pretty quickly. We got about 20 and a half laps to go, and they're mixing up front, but it's still Mr. Williams and Mr. Peacock. Now, earlier, Sam, it was Peacock being pushed by Williams. Now it's vice versa. You think Peacock's going to be quite as aggressive as Mr. Williams was earlier?
We haven't really seen him be too aggressive. I think, if anything, for Peacock, I think he would prefer being in this position, making sure that he's got the 32 ahead of him. As, you know, coming into this race, drivers were noting on, hey, there's some drivers that we really don't know. They're going to be wild cards. They've been very aggressive at the last time we went super speedway racing at Talladega, which that race, comparatively, Talladega was a wreck fest. I mean, just looking back at it, here tonight, it has been a much cleaner race. We've seen a lot of aggressive moves and some amazing saves, but right now I think for a lot of these drivers, it's let's try to calm things down until we get to those last 10 laps to go. Then we'll try to ramp it up after we make our green flag pit stops.
Well, somebody failed to tell Josh Cole that. He's in that 5 truck up high, and he's got some help, and they've made up a lot of ground on the leaders up there. As I say that, they lose a couple of truck lengths there, but that's not too bad. But they've got, let's see, 6 or 7 trucks up there on the high line. If they can get nose to tail, they'll make that high line work and make up some ground on the leaders up front.
Yeah, and also starting to see some drivers, you know, getting a little bit scared coming out of the tri-oval. As you saw that baby blue 93 machine of Raul Meza able to hold on. But up front, yeah, I mean, it's all Mikey Williams and that of Taylor Peacock, both in green, as you're seeing them up front running well. Then the 5 on the outside leading for that of Cole. And question I'm thinking about is when will we see these drivers come to pit road? Because the window we were throwing out, these drivers are slowly catching up to. So these drivers, I mean, I'm wondering, when will we see? I mean, we know the indication usually is when we see most of that lead pack get single filed. That's usually the indication they're getting ready for pit stops, but we haven't seen that just yet. But we have a feeling they're going to have to make a pit stop just because we saw those 4 other drivers coming to pit road, that being Richards, LaBeouf, Keith Bradley, and Hess, all making their pit stop together. And looking at the times for both our leaders and for those 4 drivers, those 4 have been running about almost half a second faster than our leaders currently. So they're looking good to possibly be ahead of this lead pack once they come into pit road.
Yes, they are. And as you were saying, everybody's starting to kind of single file out now. If you look at the top 6, they are single file. So we might be looking at some green flag pit stops as we come to, yep, here they come. We got 3, 4, 5, 6 guys.
Misjudgment.
Oh, wow. And yep,
and they're wrecking onto the entry up pit road. There goes the 43 into the grass. He'll be struggling to get going. I believe the big contact, though, was that of Joey Doucette, as the 43, instead of going into pit road, just decides to go onto the track and almost spun around, almost brought out a yellow, as the 43 slow to get back into the throttle and get going. And here we're going to be taking a look at a replay here from Pulse Poppers. And oh man, John, this is what's dangerous about making your pit stops here at Daytona.
Absolutely. And if you lock them up and get out of control, which, that's what it looked like. Maybe the 43 was checking up, and I don't think he was trying to pit. I hope he wasn't trying to pit from outside like that, but he got hit in the back end pretty hard there, and that's what looks like what started that whole mess there. And he's got some heavy damage there, Sam.
Yeah, a lot of rear end damage that he's going to have to deal with once coming into pit road. But yeah, the way he checked up, I mean, there was a spin ahead of him, that of being Joey Doucette, and I think that's what caused a lot of the drivers to just slow down, try to hold off from making any contact. But I noted on this at the start when we were riding on board with that of Quinn earlier, you can practically not see anything in front of you. If something happens, you need a spotter to tell you, or the drivers to indicate, hey, there's a wreck going on. Otherwise, you're virtually just blind, as we ride on board with that of Taylor Peacock coming out of the corner. I mean, you really can't see anything as they're coming into pit road. Got to be careful as they're fanning out into pit entry.
Yeah, that was probably some communication right there. Williams letting him know, hey, I'm going down to the wall and I'm going to stay outside. This guy did that, right? So that was good. But yeah, that's going to mix things up. That is really going to mix things up with that bad, incident coming from that first pack on the pit road. So this is going to be all of our green flag pit stop right here, Sam. This is it. These guys are all going to get a gas and go. But I think you're right. I think with the 4 guys that initially pitted a few laps ago, they're going to be able to swing around, I think, and at least catch up to Williams and Peacock and those guys somewhere around the backstretch or so.
Yeah, and you're seeing Taylor Peacock already getting out and going, and there's no one really by him. The next closest driver is the 43 of Dana, going to be that of Shepard, and this is shocking to see because there might have been a miscommunication on who and when was going to come into pit road, because Peacock took fuel only, while the rest of the drivers that the 81 came in with all decided to go with also fuel and tires. So miscommunication, the 81's by himself, and now is being ran down by a pack behind him as Shepard trying to play a little bit of help pick me up. But as we can see, it's the drivers that came into pit road first. It's that of Richards, also LaBeouf, all doing great up front as we're counting 15 laps to go, coming to 14 laps to go across the line.
14 laps to go, and you called it. I mean, that guy, that group of guys, those 4 cars that pitted early, they did it right. They did it. They had good, fast pit stops. They came out together. They stayed together, nose and tail. We're making good time, and now here they are. They're going to be up front when this is all over and done with, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at it right now. This is second group. This is actually second all the way back to that of 10th place. This group is. They're trying to catch up to Taylor Peacock. That Peacock is all by himself, as the 43 Dana Shepard, who we saw make contact with the pit entry fiasco that happened just 5 laps ago, The 43 is now in pit road, but you can
look at
just
this
see the
closing
difference
speed,
in
Sam.
speed. It's crazy to see as Peacock's just going to stay low. They've all got to figure out how to get around the 81.
And he's going to stay low and cause that bottom line to check up. And that's going to give the 24 and the other, the 24 kind of checked up too. Painter checked up there.
Yeah, I mean, drivers trying to pick
Maybe
and
he
choose
didn't
all
think
the
he
way
was
to the high
clear.
line.
Yeah.
No,
we
no,
got
there
contact,
goes
and we're
our
spinning
Atlanta
and
winner.
wrecking.
Also Peacock into Keith Bradley as they slide across. We stay green, but that lead pack all collected into calamity. Oh, no. The drivers that had
that
the
took out
best
a
plan for
bunch of good
themselves,
drivers.
not going to work out.
Richards and LaBeouf survived, and the caution flag is out now. Man, that was
Race
a
control,
huge,
Demon, that's a
huge-
yellow.
That's huge for the
Woo.
points. That really is.
Again, there is no fast repair, so this damaged drivers have to come in and get service done. Take an instant replay of what happened. They're 3 wide in this instant.
Oh, that looked like netcode.
Contact and away they go, spinning, as that was Painter, and also Peacock and Keith Bradley all involved in that incident.
That really looked like netcode. It looked like Painter's truck just all of a sudden jumped left.
As you take a look here, this was what the incident kind of bottled everyone up, was the 81 holding his line, which, again, I think there might have been a little bit of a miscommunication on where the 81 was supposed to be placed, but at the same time, where everyone else wanted to go to get around him if possible and get everyone pinched up like this. And we knew
It
a wreck
really
was going to
looked to
happen.
me, Sam, like that was netcode. Painter's truck just jumped to the right with, just all by itself. That was crazy. But yeah, that's unfortunate. But here's the thing. The 81 has every right to run his truck where he wants to. It's really the rest of those guys, especially him being the leader, it's up to them to get around him without wrecking. Now, I'm not listening to the in-game chat, so I don't know if there was any communication as far as that goes. Maybe our producer can clear me up on that. But, I've always looked at when you're, especially on super speedways, when you're coming up on a lap truck or somebody who's slower than your pack, y'all got to communicate and say, look, this is where we're going to go. You just hold where you're at.
Yeah, I was listening and it looked like there was zero communication really coming up to when they were catching up to that of Peacock in the 81. And now other drivers going to be, half the field going to be coming into pit road, getting service done. Those that were involved with that first pit entry incident, as well as drivers that were involved in that incident that brought out a yellow, but 11 laps to go. And the timing of that caution, John, that's going to be leaving us with less than 10 laps to go when we go green again. This field, I wouldn't say that last wreck was the big one. It certainly was a wreck, but this is now putting the pressure on for these drivers that it's now adding up to what possibly could be a big one striking. As last week at Atlanta, they went into overtime. There were 3 massive wrecks on the start of that overtime attempt. No yellow was thrown. Could see a similar thing here tonight as drivers are getting their service done again, stacked up to go again.
We have 21 cars still on track of the 26 that started there, Sam. I'm going to give you a little analogy, and I'm showing my age when I do this. I'm not sure if you're old enough to remember this, but there was a Looney Tunes cartoon once of Yosemite Sam and having his little disagreement with, I believe it was Bugs Bunny, and Bugs tricked him into walking into a gunpowder closet with a match lit. That's about what we're looking at with this race. We got less than 10 to go and we go back to green. You got 16 guys trying to get 8 spots for championship race next week. Yeah, somebody just walked into the gunpowder closet with a match lit. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's not looking good. It's going to be a little scary when we go green. It certainly is.
Well, I'm sorry, folks. My producer's giggling in my ear. He's like, I remember that. But that's what it looks like. That's what these kind of races boil down to, man. It's a powder keg, and it's going to see who's going to light the match and drop it, and cause the big one. I don't want to see a big one, Sam. Let me make sure I'm clear on that, folks. I don't want there to be a wreck. But this is Daytona. This is a championship forming race. This is going to have some input on who goes to the sweet. I'm sorry, the what's it called, the late 8 or whatever.
Yeah, they'll get it to the round of 8, the Elite 8 that they're trying to get to.
Elite
so
8,
they're doing their best.
So, yeah, this is going to be crazy, man. This is but this is what we get here for. This is what we came here for. We came here to watch these guys duke it out on a super speedway and give us drama and excitement. And I do believe, Sam, that we've gotten plenty of both.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we look at our top 5 currently. We got Brady LaBeouf, as well as that of Robert Richards, and then, you know, Adam Newbert, you know, Stephen Gregory, that of Stephen Thomas. I mean, that's your top 5. We haven't really, I mean, Newbert we've talked about, but everyone else, they've had to work their way up. We saw Gregory up there for a couple of laps, but your front 5, front 10, all drivers that have been swapped around. We'll see how they can attack here. It's going to be less than 10 laps to go to see how these drivers can attack here tonight. Who's going to have the best finish and have the best points going into Kansas next week? We'll find out here very shortly. Pace truck is off, and we are green once again here for the Jimmy Strong 200. It's going to be that of Richards as well as Gregory, going to be already pulling away on the inside.
That was a crazy little restart there. It looked like the 9 of LaBeouf might have spun his tires big time. He's going to pull down into 3rd right there. Now, let's not forget, Sam, he's got damage. He was involved in that first incident before stage 1 ended. He got significant damage there, so he's kind of a limp duck right there. So that's going to give Richards and Gregory a chance to get out front 1-2. And we are coming to 8 to go next time by. This is going to be a crazy finish. Look at this on the outside now. LaBeouf trying to take that lead away. Damage be done. Hey. I'm telling you, that's crazy.
You might say that he's wounded, but he certainly isn't showing it, as he's going to be on the high side, trying to get that of Newbert getting a little bit of help, as well as Quinn, Cole, and others joining on that high line. And you're seeing it. Drivers want to move high. They're seeing the outside lane moving, but there's just not enough space. 8 laps to go, as it's going to be that of Richards and LaBeouf leading the way. Drivers that haven't been up front all race long, now leading in the final 8 laps of the race.
LaBeouf is doing what he needs to do right now. He's a championship hopeful. So is, I believe, Richards on the inside down there in the lead. So they're doing what they need to do. The thing is, they got to keep it straight and finish like they are. And, man, we got just trucks just jumping high and low. That is crazy. Did you see the, I think that was a 23 again. And that light blue truck went from outside to inside, back to the outside.
Yeah, I mean, they're bouncing all over the place, trying to gain every position that they can currently. And, you know, when you see a spot, you just got to take it. You got to hope that that's the lane that starts moving as they're jostling back for that 10th place position. Up front, though, it's still the 48 of Richards holding strong with that of Gregory pushing the 61. A driver that was having some issues on the high side trying to make that high line work now has a lot more trucks in line, sticking strong. But this, John, we touched on it. What are the motor temps going to look like when you get late in the race? You got to make sure when you're on the driver's back bumper that you don't have to worry about the temps anymore. Well, that of the 6, he's got to be careful. He's right on the back bumper of LaBeouf, but at the same time, that engine temps are going to start creeping and rising. So the 6, you see him bobbing up and down, trying to just get a little bit of air to the radiator so it doesn't blow up here in the final 7, coming to 6 laps to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a concern for that 6 truck for sure. But, oh, my goodness, we got a guy that hit the wall back there, and they're wrecking. Here we go. And Bradley's involved in this one again. It looks like we got several cars all waddled up right there in a tri-oval, and it looked like it started coming out of 4. Somebody got into the wall right there. I couldn't tell who it was.
Yeah, and that's Doucette, as well as you saw there. We saw the 94 of Eric Zimmerman. Zimmerman last in our top 16 in points, so he was needing a win here tonight to get himself into a shot to move on. As we take a replay of what happened as we're riding and seeing where the 16 is. He's on the outside, 5th truck on the outline, and see him through the tri-oval just get bumped in. That's not where you want to get tapped, and around goes to 17 others, and already seen a major wreck there. And
well, I saw
everyone else trying to slow down,
come out of his pipes there. Sorry, I didn't mean to walk on you there. I saw some backfire coming out of his pipe. That means he checked up. The 16 checked up for some reason right there. Maybe he saw something we couldn't see. But when he checked up like that, he got, oh, wow, the 18 is smashed up, man. Wow.
Yeah, it is not looking good for a lot of these drivers further back, especially because they were needing solid runs, as it is currently, seen these drivers racing as we're going to be taking a look at what the drivers further back were seeing for themselves as we ride on board with Peacock and get his view, as well as some of the other drivers further back, as just getting a sense of the madness coming out of turn number 4.
Yeah, here we are down the backstretch right here, and on board with Dane Hagen, and you're going to see it just up ahead there on the right. I'm not real sure why Doucette checked up like he did, but he checks up and then just gets run over.
I think it might have been just trying to make a move and there really wasn't any space, and goes lows to 39, and that is the cleanest way to get out of an accident, is just stay low when you see everyone else wrecking above you, and luckily not involved was 39 of Hagen, and Hagen currently in 18th position, but a lot of drivers in pit road getting service done. Kyle has that of Peacock, Zimmerman, Bullock, and also Keith Bradley all in pit road getting service done. For some of those drivers, they were not affording to have this type of incident. I mean, for Bullock, he was a driver that was 10th coming into the night, needed a solid run. Zimmerman already noted he was 16th in points coming into today's race. Keith Bradley was 5th in points, so this could keep him closer in as it's 5 laps to go here tonight.
We're hearing from pit road that Bradley's engine has expired. That's not good news. He's going to finish close to the end of the field there. Let's see, we got how many cars left in this thing?
Looks like we got about 20 that are on track.
Yeah. So he'll definitely, Thompson and McKinnon are both still running, so they're going to be able to pass him up. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see here. We got,
I don't know if I'm looking at when this incident happened. If we go into overtime, it's going to give Michael McKinnon a chance to possibly make the pass on Keith Bradley, who again lost his engine. He's done for the night. But if this race stays in regulation, don't believe that Michael McKinnon's going to be able to gain any more positions, even though valiant effort by the 13, who was caught up in that first wreck. It's been underpowered, but it's still been racing all night long. I mean, that to have that mental fortitude to stay out even with a heavily damaged vehicle, hey, kudos to that 13 machine.
Absolutely, and I'm going to step out on a limb here and say we're probably not done with the Beaton and Megan.
What? No, John, that'd be crazy.
I'm just, I'm taking that risk, and I'm taking that gamble, Sam, and I'm going to say that we may actually see a little bit more action before this is over with.
Well, one thing to note on as well is you touched on it. There was wheel spin at the start of that last restart. Drivers now have a little bit more wear and tear on these tires. I know it's not a lot. We don't talk on, tire wear that often, but a lot of the drivers, we have about, I believe, 4 or 5 drivers that are inside of the top 10 that are going to be on older tires than the rest of the field. Wheel spin could be something to watch out for, as it's going to be that of the 61 on the outside, as well as the 44 of Logan Quinn that's going to be on the second truck on the inside. Older tires, both on both lanes, so we'll see how they react here as the pace truck getting ready to pull off. It's going to be 3 laps to go when we go green. Pace truck is off. The Jimmy Strong 200 by that of Millings Restaurants and Catering is green once again. 3 laps to go, and they're already slow further back. But up front, you can already see they're trying to shuffle, get in line, and figure out who's your partner to try to make it to the end.
Yeah, that really shuffled things up there further back in the pack. I believe that guy missed a shift maybe, or his truck might have expired out there. I'm not sure. But in the meantime, back up front, Richards and Gregory step out just a little bit. Oh, we got another wreck happening. Look out.
Hold on.
Wow. Green flag is still out. And we're going to stay
somehow
green.
Raul Meza holds on, but they are really scattering further back, losing ground. But we still stay green, as up front, it's going to be about the top 12 that are still in line with this lead pack as they're coming out of turn number 4. It's going to be that of Rob Richards leading the way with that of Gregory, also LeBluff, Quinn, and Newberg going to be your top 5 as they come across the line. 2 laps to go, John. It looks like our top 4, they're willing to stay in line. Who will go to the high side? Right now, it's Newberg into turn 1.
I think Gregory's going to wait to make his move probably until last lap if he's smart. But he's going to have help. He's going to have to hope that maybe that 6 truck can get up a little bit closer. In the meantime, you've got the 9 back there, LaBeouf. He's happy where he's at. He's a championship contender. He's still running. He knows he can't get the win, Sam, because of the damage he's got. But if he hangs on where he's at, it'll be a great finish for him. In the meantime, that high line is not making up the ground they need to make when we're coming to the white flag now coming out of 4.
Coming out of turn number 4, hearing over the radio, that high line, they're getting upset with one another. They're not going anywhere, and it's just Rob Richards leading the way. Coming to your CRN, 1 to go here for the Jimmy Strong 200. And it's going to be that of Richard leading the way. And up front, it's only your top 10, top 11, excuse me, that have a shot to win here tonight. That outside line's moving. The 6 leaves are wrecking. And it's just your top 4 now that are racing up front. That of Newbern and others get collected. It's up front. Richard, as well as Gregory, LaBeouf, they're moving up front. But will the 42 have enough time to get a run to possibly make a surge? As there they come into turn number 3. They're flipping behind. It is carnage. As it's going to be Richards, also that of Gregory going to be on the front end. Who will make the move? Will it be the 61 or will the 9? Right now, it's that of Robert Richards. They're going to be blocking.
He's
48
for the win.
Here comes that of Brad LaBeouf. LaBeouf's up there. 4 wide to the inside. We're looking to see, and it's going to be the 42. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
What?
Oh, my God. That was the craziest finish
Jacob
I have ever seen.
Clinchart somehow. John, look at this move by the 42. He's back. They're rubbing off of one another with that of Stephen Williams. Coming at turn number 4, giving LaBeouf the huge bump, trying to give him some help, but it's the contact from Gregory into that of Richards, into the 9. Somehow the seat parts. And it was almost identical. How? It might be by 10,000ths of a second. That was how close it was between Stephen Thomas and the 42 Jacob Clinchart. Wow.
I have no words. Wow.
It is being officially scored on our thing as .00. It is in the thousands, but I'm looking at my telemetry that goes into the thousands. It doesn't even show it there. This is in the 10,000ths of a second. Just like there, you are cutting it closer than centimeters. What's the difference between these two drivers?
Man,
wow, John. Welcome to NASRA.
Right? And then coming to the flag, on that back shot, that backstretch shot, looking back on the field, all I saw was a truck flying through the air, probably 80 feet in the air, while the leaders are up front racing. That was insane.
It was so close. We couldn't call it in the moment. We had to wait for telemetry, and it's the 42. And what a night to get it done, John. For that of Jacob Clinchart, his scheme artist is the father of Jimmy Strong, and what this night means for them. To have the 42 win, it is almost like it was scripted for this type of a night to happen.
Oh, there was not. There's no way anybody can say this was scripted, man. That finish, man. Look, dude, I'm not even lying, Sam. I've been sim racing now for almost 20 years. Okay, and been in racing since I was 4 years old. That has got to be, hands down, one of the craziest finishes I have ever witnessed, real or sim. That was just nuts. That was nuts.
Both super speedway races have put on great shows, and they do it once again. As the 42 limps his way to victory lane, we're going to take a look at our final unofficial racing results. But holy cow. Looks like that is our qualifying results.
Did Bradley really come home fifth?
That is actually our unofficial race results now officially. It's going to be that of the 42, Jacob Clinchart, as well as Stephen Thomas, as well as Stephen Gregory is going to be your top 3. We'll talk to our top 3 in just a few with Stephen Williams, Bradley LaBeouf, as well as Mikey Williams. Oh my! I'm stumbling over words because of how great that was.
I know.
Blake Loudon's going to be in 7th. That of Riviera, as well as Robert Richards, and that of Dane Hagen's going to be your top 10. John, I'm going to give you the rest of the top 20, and then I'll finish out the rest.
All right. Well, quick shout out to Bray LaBeouf, my fellow Cajun. Good top 5. 11th place, we got Taylor Peacock. He had a lot of leading time up front. Unfortunately, wasn't able to close the deal. Adam Newbert in 12th. Devin Painter in 13th. Last week's winner didn't have a very good finish. Kyle Hess, 14th. Cody Knott, 15th. Logan Quinn, 16th. 17th was Eric Zimmerman. 18th was Joey Doucette. We saw him kind of get tangled up on that one incident that didn't bring out the caution. 19th is Brandon Bullock. 20th, one lap down, Ron Cole. Pardon me. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ronald Cole. I think he was going by Josh in scoring. And that's your top 20 right there, folks.
And then finishing out
21st.
The rest of the 27. Yeah, it's going to be that of Jeffrey Sickles, as well as Dana Shepard, Raul Meza, Tori Thomas, Keith Bradley, Michael McKinnon, and that of Ted Wade was our race control for the evening. Only 26 drivers hit the green, but a 4-wide finish by 10,000ths of a second was the finish. Jacob McKinnart's going to be the driver that gets it done. We'll be back in just a few to talk to our top 3. What in the world just happened? We'll get their point of view of the incredible finish here at Daytona. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the finale of this race put on. Incredible as it is back from NASRA, back to LSRTV for the Jimmy Strong 200. 4-wide finish there at the end. And we're going to start things off with that of Stephen Gregory. Stephen, what a race you had, but just coming up short there. You tried to make the move for the lead. Didn't work out for yourself, but man, what a race it was for yourself.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad race, except for I got damage on that right there at the end of the first stage, and it killed the nose of the truck, so I didn't really have speed to lead. I could if I was to be out front.
Well, real quick, just how bad was the damage for you? Did you notice yourself overheating at all back there?
No, the truck didn't overheat. It just didn't have any speed out front. It's just the nose was. It probably didn't look that bad on camera, but in the cockpit I could see the whole. So I do. That's why I did dump him, but last year at Talladega he dumped me pretty much for the same thing. So as far as I look at it, we're even. But if we're not,
Well, Stefan, still a third place finish, incredible run, and we're gonna be letting you have the floor and asking any shout outs to your sponsors or anyone else.
I just gotta thank Bodine's Moonshine and Taylor Peacock, my teammate. He's actually the one that brought me into this because I couldn't end up paying the fucking. But just him and Bodine's fucking Moonshine.
And it's nice to have you up at the booth, Stefan Gregory in the 61. Have a great rest of your night, man. As we're now going to be moving quickly to second place, we've got that of Stephen Thomas. Stephen, you came up based on our calculations, hundreds of, 10,000ths of a second shy or more from getting the win. But give us your point of view of coming across the line there.
Oh man, that was super exciting. What a finish. I thought I won, to be honest with you. I thought Stephen Gregory was first, and he was right above me. And at the finish line, I noticed that I just edged him out, and I thought I won. And then when I seen Jacob was in first, I guess he was on the high line or went high. I'm not really sure what happened. Can't wait to go back and watch it. But yeah, I thought I won. I was pumped. It was a great finish, man. I'm glad I got second.
Well, Stephen, if it makes you feel any better, some little old lady with a magnifying glass is looking at a picture somewhere just to verify it. But anyway.
Well, she better look extra hard because I'm pretty sure I got it. We might have to go back and get an official review from Brady, maybe. I like that idea. I like it.
Well, I have a real quick question for you. How did you manage to get through tonight's, how should we say this, interesting event with no damage at all? And towards the end of that run, did it make you feel good that you had a relatively unscathed truck coming down to the finish?
Well, actually, it was kind of in the back. I started third, fourth. I don't know exactly where I started. I went, dropped back on purpose to kind of ride in the back, and then there was a lap car that forced us 3 wide, and driver, I guess, got a little nervous and hit me, and we almost wrecked. It was super close. It was Eric Zimmerman sideways, and we almost wrecked. I fell back with Keith and Robert at that point, and me and him, that was the stage 2 is when that happened. So I rode with them for a while, and I had about 6 seconds worth of damage. Nothing that bothered my truck whatsoever, but luckily I was able to stay clean after that, man. In the very last lap, I was behind the accident that happened there and just barely squeezed through. So yeah, dude, got super lucky is all I can say. Daytona Super Speedway is super lucky. Be right place, right time.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen, a great run for yourself. Points-wise, playoff racing is the second race of 3 for this round. How does it make you feel knowing that you're one of the highest finishers of those playoff drivers and going into Kansas, feeling pretty good with a nice bubble going into Kansas?
Well, what you all don't know, unfortunately, the round 1, dude, I had about a second lead. When the caution came out with 3 laps, I had it locked up, man. It was completely locked up. Had a long run, was going to win. Caution comes out. I don't go in, spin my tires on the restart, and ended up finishing 9th. So for me to get second was absolutely huge here because like I said, man, with 3 laps to go, I was telling myself, all right, I've got to win. I'm going into Daytona. Don't care what happens, and that all turned very quickly. So second place from Daytona tonight was absolutely huge.
Well, Stephen, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Oh, man, thank you guys for broadcasting. Can't wait for next season. I think we're going to have a good time. You'll learn my name very quickly, I promise. Thank Brady and Michael and Logan, my teammate. Me and him worked together very well tonight, and he was in top 5 and was in that wreck in the last lap. But, man, thanks everybody involved, and have a good night.
That's going to be Stephen Thomas in the 23 team getting a second place finish here tonight, and good luck next week at Kansas.
Thanks,
As
buddy.
we will now move over to our victory lane with the 42 of Jacob Claycark. As Jacob, what a finish for yourself, and what a finish for a race that, with it being the Jimmy Strong 200, what does this race mean for yourself?
Oh man, it means so much. This is my rookie season with this league. I haven't gotten a win. I had a really rough start actually. Playoffs kind of kickstarted me. Michael McKinnon took me under his wing along with Keith Bradley and a couple other guys. And I've been just working super hard and perfecting my racecraft, I guess.
Well, I gotta say, Jacob, that finish, and I was telling the guys this before we came back. I've been doing sim racing for a long time, man. Before that, I was in real life racing with my father, and that was the most exciting, crazy finish I've ever seen. At what point did it finally dawn on you that you had actually won? Was it the scoreboard telling you that, or did you know as you came across the line that you'd won the race?
So I was using Race Labs, and I think Gregory actually contacted me midway through. Like on my screen, it looked like it hit me. So I was like, man, I didn't win. And then we came across, and there was no cars next to me, and I was like, wait, did I win? And then Race Labs went from like third to first, and I was like, oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob, this win, incredible to have, and man, all race. I mean, we were seeing you further back, and then you started to move your way forward. How was it trying to be patient for most of this race, and then finally getting yourself up front?
Well, super speedways for me, it's hard for me to be conservative, and I decided in the beginning of the race I'm going to be conservative stage 1, get stage points. Stage 2, I put myself in a great position. I stayed there. And then stage 3, I decided with Dana that me and him were going to stay back and just chill for the last rest of the race until 10 laps to go, which it worked out perfectly with the caution.
Well, Jacob, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
I just want to thank you to DEP for the sponsorship. I want to thank my rest of my Mojo teammates for being there with me. And for most of all, this win goes out to Jimmy, and I hope he keeps up his high hopes and keeps fighting what he's got.
That's going to be the 42, Jacob Klinkark, who's going to be getting the win here tonight. 4 wide, hundreds of seconds to get it done, and it's the 43 that gets the victory here tonight. Congratulations on the win, Jacob, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
Well, John, what a race it was. First race back with NASRA, and they did not disappoint. A 4-wide finish to finish this tonight's out. Wow. Playoff racing, dramatic race last week at Atlanta. The drama continues here at Daytona, and we go to Kansas next week. Who knows what we're going to see there?
I'll tell you what you're going to see. A damn good race. I mean, I was not disappointed at all with these guys tonight. Fantastic racing. I'm sorry that so many guys got wadded up, but it's Daytona. That's what's going to happen. But these guys put on a great show. Great racing. The communication, I popped in a little bit there, and wow, there was some heated moments between drivers. So I predict that we might, no, I shouldn't say that. There may be some incidences at Kansas. I don't think it'll be anything like we saw tonight, but man, I'm looking forward to it. I tell you what, it's going to be fun.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to let you have your final thoughts here. I mean, what a night it was, Daytona racing. Great to see these drivers racing, but man, 4 wide at the finish.
4 wide, and to put it in perspective for folks, it's the width of a piece of paper, literally. If you plot this out, the 4 trucks were literally that close to each other, and like you said in the scoring, it was 0-0-0-1 or something like that. So fantastic finish. Out of breath a little bit, but very excited. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Glad to sit in the booth with you again, Sam. It was fantastic.
It was absolutely amazing. I can't wait to really get to know these drivers a lot more throughout the rest of the playoffs, as next race, it is going to be that of Kansas. Drivers are excited to see. Again, it's all based on points. We'll have the color-coded ticker for you to know who's in, who's out, who must have one of the best races of their lives to get in. We'll give you all that information next week for NASRA's Triple M Pulling Truck Series. But for us here tonight at LSRTV, we've got another broadcast after this. It's the Northwest ARCA Series, and it's the final race before we go figure out who's going to be racing for a championship. It's going to be that at Homestead for the ARCA drivers. We'll see how they can attack. But for us here tonight, it has been a blast here at NASRA for the Triple M Pulling Trucks. We're excited we're back here. Big thanks to Jeff Stabnow, LSRTV Studios, and